What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Phaithful Phanatics Show live here on DSM-Media's Philadelphia YouTube channel. Guys, first and foremost, if you are new to the channel, if you like the content, if you want to be interactive throughout today's show or any of our shows here we have at DSM, make sure to smash that subscribe button, turn on notifications for whenever we go live or post a video here on the channel. It's the best spot to be interactive with your host. I'm one half of them, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. The Eagles start to bring in some reinforcements, signing linebacker Shaq Leonard. We're going to talk about it. Zach Ertz and Ndamukong Suh, some other names out there for the Eagles to go out and bring in. Kelly Oubre Jr. looking to make his return tonight alongside Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid down in Washington as the Sixers return to action. Nick Sirianni heavily involved in the offensive game plan, we come to find out. Maybe we knew it. Maybe in the back of our minds, we always thought it. But now it's a proven fact. We're going to be talking about a lot, man. But first and foremost, happy hump day. And how are you feeling?
Happy hump day, my man. I am feeling probably as good as you can on a Wednesday and on a hump day, given what happened on Sunday. I'm kind of over it at this point, quite honestly. And now I'm just kind of in the reflection stage of, what can we do better going forward, going into Dallas and, just going forward, trying to get this number 1 seed locked up. So one game at the end of the day, but still some more to dig into here. And you bring in Shaq Leonard. So Howie, once again, going out, addressing things right after a loss. I imagine that intrigue probably picked up a lot after that game on Sunday, and that was probably what the difference is. It was bringing Shaq Leonard in and not bringing him in. The opportunity that he probably saw on Sunday for him to get some playing time and earn a next contract, and then also the interest level probably skyrocketed from the Eagles after seeing Anthony Morrow get dismantled like that. So it is interesting time to be an Eagles fan. 10-2, yet the world is on fire right now.
Collapsing around us, man.
Philadelphia.
It's amazing how that happens when you're 4-1 through a gauntlet. But again, it comes with losing that specific game in that specific way. But like you said, we're trying to move past it because now we have the next biggest game coming up on our schedule in Dallas this Sunday, man. But you talked about it. The intrigue definitely picked up from the Eagles side after seeing Nicholas Morrow and Christian Ellis and whoever the hell else out there trying to cover Christian McCaffrey in space and tackle Deebo Samuel. And so Howie Roseman got on the phone and said, hey, we need you. I was interested to see what direction Shaq Leonard was going to take this after watching Thursday night's game with Dallas and watching Sunday's game with the Eagles, because it's like, all right, I can get, there's a role for me. There's a starting hole opening up. I can look for a payday, but also, wow, that was pretty ugly. But any normal football mind would still understand your point of 10-2. So that game could have been 62-3, 10-2.
Yeah.
1 seed in the NFC. He's trying to win a ring. Best chance to do so in the NFC for my money still. And they bring him in, man. Now, let's talk about the signing itself for the Eagles, because obviously it helps. How much it's going to help, TBD, right? So clearly not the same Shaq Leonard from 2-3 years ago. Not all pro, not Pro Bowl level Shaq Leonard, okay? And I know some people have put out clips of him diving on for a tackle on a running back and just completely whiffing and, not looking great earlier on in the season in Indianapolis. But when you watch what Nicholas Morrow put on the field last week and you watch Christian Ellis have to step up and start for this team, anything is better at this point for my money, let alone a guy who has all pro in him.
Yeah.
He might not be that level anymore, but it's in him. The football IQ in him. The toughness, the physicality in him. So I'll take it 7 days a week and twice on Sundays right now, man. Now, we have to go and see it. We have to go and see how it plays out on the field. We have to go and see how much playing time he gets, the first week or two he's here, how acclimated he needs to be. Is he going to be the signal caller? I don't know what the size plans are for him. But to me, Shaq Leonard is already LB1 on this team's defense.
Yeah, I think with Shaq Leonard, the best case scenario, you just let him come in, maybe not be the signal caller, but just worry about his own job and focus on that. And that might be the way to kind of integrate him a little bit quicker. Just he doesn't need to know everybody else's responsibilities if he's not a signal caller. He can just focus on his own and go from there. But yeah, I do agree. Ultimately, at the end of the day, you're not getting Jeremiah Trotter, to come walking through that door in the middle of a season, right? Fred Warner isn't leaving the 49ers and coming to the Eagles mid-season. So when you look at it from the standpoint of this is a big-ass hole in the defense, this is a problem, how can you address it at this point in the season, past the trade deadline? There's just not going to be a lot of guys out there available. So when you can get a guy that does have the pedigree that Shaq Leonard has, you take it. And you just hope, right? You just hope that he can be somewhat of his past self, and maybe the talent around him on this defense, maybe that front four in front of him can help him be a better linebacker. That's what you got to hope, right? Maybe in Indianapolis, maybe the front four just wasn't, good enough to get those holes open for him to penetrate and make plays on run game, whatever the case may be, right? Maybe the secondary behind him wasn't good enough to help him in pass coverage. I don't know. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying that's what we can hope for.
Sure.
Right now, right? We can be optimistic about Shaq Leonard. If he ends up, like Marshawn Lynch says, if we don't notice him playing in the future, then we can address that problem and maybe remove that optimism, remove that benefit of the doubt. But I think as of right now,
at this point at linebacker, after what we just witnessed, not noticing him playing would be a huge W. Like Kevin Byard, we don't notice, and it's
you're not lying.
Well, he was brought in to be a playmaker, right? Kevin Byard,
you're not lying.
The turnover ability and the big hits, and to see him out there. If we don't hear Shaq Leonard's name called, it's most likely a good thing on Sundays, man. He was Nate Gary Pittsburgh.
Yes, that is the name I wanted to throw into this pile right here.
He was
Nate Gary, man. That motherfucker, dude.
Oh, and
he got cooked against San Fran too, man. He was lost.
What was it, man? We tried to put him on like Chase Claypool. Was it Claypool or was it? We tried to throw him on a receiver.
He was on Claypool. 3 touchdowns from Claypool.
I'll never ever forget that Jim Schwartz's defense, man. That was unreal.
There was one play a year where he played the 49ers, and I swear he was like facing the opposite.
Oh, the other way. Yeah, his back was
where the play was happening.
He was just like in the middle of the field roaming with his back to the ball, just like I have no idea, man. No idea.
Can't make that
how
shit
that
up.
Dude was a starting linebacker for this team.
Nate Gary got a ring.
But this is the thing for me, and you mentioned it. Yeah. Everyone, when you bring in a free agent, when you make a trade, everyone talks about what that player can bring to the team or to the unit. It's also what this unit can do for him, right? It's new, not just this unit, but this team. And I know the Colts are winning, and I know that they're fighting for their division. Trevor Lawrence goes down. The Colts are above 500 with Minshew. They might make the playoffs, but they're not contending for a Super Bowl. Like, no one's kidding themselves down in Indianapolis, right?
Yeah.
Here, it's real. So it's the players around him, the talent level around him on defense, which can benefit Shaq Leonard and make him, feel better and play better out there as a whole.
Yeah.
And also just the atmosphere. 10-2, 1 seed in the NFC, went to the Super Bowl last year, trying to get back there this year. Yeah. That can rejuvenate a player in that sense. Because let's be honest, man, when Indianapolis got rid of Shaq Leonard, they were sub 500. Like I'm assuming there wasn't much belief that they were going to go on this little run that they're on right now. I'm assuming there wasn't much belief that they were going to make the playoffs. So for that,
they also they had better talent at the linebacker position. They're going with a little bit more of a youth movement. So when you got guys there that are actually playing well and developing, I think that holds weight over a guy that's been there, right? Part of the past of the Colts, rather. And, I don't think it speaks to, Shaq Leonard being necessarily cooked. He just maybe isn't better or good enough as far as like that separation, right? He's not that much better than what they have starting and young versus, developing them and wasting that time with Leonard. So, yeah, I agree with you, though, wholeheartedly. Like, at the end of the day, he's going to bring experience that none of these linebackers have. And, putting him with Nick Sirianni, putting him next to guys that he is friends with, comfortable with, working out with Smitty in the off seasons and different things like that. look what it does to everybody, right? When
Yeah.
they come into this organization, the culture. I know that one game this past Sunday, it's going to stick in our heads for a while. And if they lose on Dallas, it's going to stick in our heads for even longer.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, this team is ready to compete for a Super Bowl. So you add another player with that pedigree like Shaq Leonard is.
Absolutely.
And it's probably his best opportunity. I would have to go back and look at the Colts seasons, but probably his best opportunity to win a championship.
1,000%. It's his best chance to go and get a ring. Some other guys you mentioned that pedigree, championship pedigree. Two guys' names being floated around that, are looking to sign with a contender. Eagles have connections to both. One, a former Eagle from last season, DT Suh, and then Super Bowl champion in 2017, 2018, Mr. Zach Ertz, obviously being waived by the Cardinals. The big connection there. I don't know what the money situation is. I don't know if it's possible to bring in both, whatever Howie is gearing up to do if they get none. But my question is, do either of these guys, obviously both help, but which of them would you like to see the Eagles bring in more? And I'm assuming it's Zach Ertz, but I could be wrong with my guess here. But which of the two guys there would you most be willing to take on right now?
So it's tough when you think about it. Honestly, there's three guys that come to mind, and I don't know. I haven't seen like all the headlines, like if Adrian Amos has been picked up as well. He got released from the Jets, safety. Honestly, man, looking at Zach Ertz and Suh, Adrian Amos, I think the one that we would need most is probably Adrian Amos, somebody to be that third safety, a veteran presence, comes from a Jets defense with pedigree of being tough and physical, so he could bring some of that to our defense. But between Zach Ertz and Suh, it's a tough question because both bring that experience, both bring that pedigree, as you mentioned. Zach Ertz, I just wonder with Goddard coming back so soon, right? I don't know if we expected him back this soon. He's going to get plenty of time to get himself back in shape, ready to go for the playoffs. So I do think that Suh would ultimately have more of an impact than Zach Ertz because they rotate the defensive line so much.
Sure.
And let's be honest, man. Jalen Hurts on Sunday, I mean, he didn't look Jack Stahl's way. Jack Stahl was open several times on Sunday, didn't look his way. Maybe Ertz gives him that confidence back in that option. Maybe Goddard is that option. But like what I'm trying to say is that this offense is so fixated on getting like A.J. Brown the ball in the pass game that I just don't know if the targets are ever even going to trickle down that far to like a fifth or sixth option on the offense. Like as much as I think Zach Ertz could help the offense if we were open to including everyone in the offense, I would go with Zach Ertz. I think he probably has a little bit more left in the tank. I'm just guessing there, but when I look at it from that perspective, I have to go in Suh based on the way we utilize players. Like we brought in Julio. I don't know if it's Julio or if it's coaching staff play calling Jalen Hurts. He's not touching the football.
Not at all.
OZ is not in the game plan at all after he makes that incredible catch against Buffalo. Quez Watkins comes in.
I mean, Olamide Zaccheaus might have 7 catches on the year.
Yeah. And they've all been kind of big catches, right? He's made big plays throughout the season.
2 big touchdowns spots. I can recall, a big third down pickup I can recall, and he just doesn't get the ball. It's odd, man. Listen, whether it was play call or by design, but like, obviously it was PI in the San Fran game and we were all freaking out, but other guys make that contested catch. They dial up a one-on-one ball for Quez Watkins when he returns it. It doesn't make sense, man. Stop force feeding me Quez Watkins. Stop force feeding me Kenneth Gainwell. I'm sorry, man. It's harsh. I don't even know why Boston Scott gets on the goddamn field on offense, man. I don't get it. So to that point, like my frustration here is there's a spot for Zach Ertz. I know there is. And I know, you need to be able to block and that's
Jack Stahl out of the equation,
here, but I agree. Like we're sitting here like, oh, Goddard or Ertz. Listen, there's got to be packages where they could both play off the line of scrimmage together.
Exists.
Like I don't understand the. I don't know. I don't understand the pushback against it. I don't understand why they couldn't utilize it that way.
If if you are running 12 personnel and say you want to, engage in the run game, this is a big topic right now. You want to engage in the run game from 12 personnel, and maybe they look at it as, okay, Goddard, great blocker. He presents that target threat. He could, break off, run a route, and make a big play if they decide to pass. And then they look at Jack Stoll and they're like, yeah, not the greatest pass catcher, but he blocks really well. Well, I would argue that adding Ertz on the other side of that 12 personnel, or if you want to go 2 tight ends on one side, whatever you want to do, right? I would argue that having Zach Ertz there as an option to catch a pass if you run a pass play is more effective than having Jack Stoll on the field to just simply block.
Man.
And
It's
there's
that
no type of disguise in it, right?
Like, because if you come out here and run Stoll and Goddard on the field together, it's the chess match of what if they're only rushing 4?
Yeah.
What did the Jack Stoll is just one less option you have at that point,
and that's what we saw on Sunday.
And they're not even bringing pressure. So I get it. You're taking a chance. You're taking a risk by setting both out. But I'm just imagining like the lines lined up. Goddard's up on the line, down in a crouch next to Lane. Ertz is next to Goddard in a crouch, but like slightly off the line, right? In legal formation. Bang, snap the ball. Goddard slant over the middle. Ertz little out route on 3rd and short. One of them's going to get open.
Yeah.
One of them is going to get open, man.
Yeah.
And so for them, to not even try it, to not even utilize it would make no sense for me. So I do think there is a role for Zach Ertz. I do hear you when it comes to Ndamukong Suh. Like right now, man, like I'm seeing Marlon Tuipulotu getting playing time. And I know we love the depth. It's just there's a little too much rotate. And I know we've been banged up, right? I know Fletcher Cox was banged up in one game, and it's the same game you were missing Milton Williams. So I get like in those situations, you're going to see guys you wouldn't normally see. But I remember like against Dallas, Marlon Tuipulotu, Milton Williams, and Contavious Street were on the field together at the same time. Are we kidding ourselves?
Yeah. There's a significant drop-off, and this is with all due respect. There's a significant drop-off in the rotation. Like, I don't know if you saw it on Sunday when Haason Reddick and Josh Sweat come off the field. I mean,
my God.
Why bring them off the field at the same
time?
Why? I don't understand that. I get you feel comfortable with your depth, but how about we mix BG with Josh Sweat? And then mix Nolan Smith with Haason Reddick if you're trying to space the guys snaps out.
So related to the Sixers, right? We love the Sixers' depth. We love that they can go 10, 11 deep. But we're going to love it less when Embiid, Maxey, and Tobias are all off the floor at the same time and you have a 5-man bench unit out. Yeah. Same thing here. We love our defensive line rotation. Going to love it less when your 2 best edge rushers are out and no offense, he's made some big plays as of late, but it's Brandon Graham and Nolan Smith on the edges. It's nothing's happening. Nothing's occurring in those situations, man. But,
and once again, it's like, okay, you could argue that, they're saving Haason and Josh for 3rd down in those possessions, right? They're saving them for the 3rd down pass rush. But if you don't get to 3rd and long, it doesn't matter, man. Right. Like at the end of the day, it does not matter. So, just once again, not disguising like what you're doing is a problem with this team. I feel a lot of the time
disguising what you're doing, man. It's interesting you bring that up. Let's pivot here to some news, right? So some tweets that came out, some interviews, press conferences that came out yesterday. And, like I said at the beginning of the show, maybe we've always thought it. Maybe we've always questioned how much Nick Sirianni has his hand in the offensive pot, right? And how much of it is Brian Johnson's offense and so on and so forth. It comes out that this is very much so Nick Sirianni's offense. And Brian Johnson calls the plays, but they put together the game plan throughout the week as a collective unit. Nick has heavy influence on it. And then Brian Johnson kind of knows where to take it from there in terms of play calling. Does this frustrate you at all in terms of Nick Sirianni? Because Nick started out very rough with this fan base back in 2021, right? Obviously, winning cures all of that. We've come to love his personality, his edginess, everything like that. But we hated Nick Sirianni's offense in 2021 until he handed over the reins to Shane Steichen. Now, whether Nick Sirianni's hand was completely out of the game plan last year or whether it's the same as this year and it's just not working out in terms of play calling, I don't know. So I'm not going to hate too much on Sirianni being influenced or have an influence on it. But it bothers me a little bit, man, because my theory is he wasn't an effective play caller in 2021, or his offense wasn't effective. He, quote unquote, handed over the reins to Shane Steichen. Steichen obviously called plays all of 2022 in a Super Bowl year that the offense was high flying. Steichen leaves, and now the offense takes a step back production-wise.
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like a Nick Sirianni issue, does it not?
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. And I think, it takes you in this direction that you really don't want to go as far as like thinking about this team and the coaching staff. And, a couple weeks ago, we were arguing for Nick Sirianni Coach of the Year. Now it kind of brings things back and you start to think like, if I was calling Brian Johnson a detractor for this team, then what is Nick Sirianni with this offensive scheme? And, it makes me go down a rabbit hole that I don't want to go down just yet with Nick Sirianni because we
don't have enough. We don't have enough proof, right? Like
it is frustrating, man. Yeah. I will say that. Like you have to understand what you're going against and what your team, like the chemistry and the rhythm of a team. Yeah. Like I don't know. It makes you wonder. And the reason I bring up rabbit hole, because it makes you wonder in the offseason where you have some veteran options out there for offensive coordinator, offensive advisors, whatever you want to call it. And they go with the in-house guy that has never called plays before in Brian Johnson. So Nick Sirianni can kind of influence and like take advantage and still control the offense with a guy like that rather than bringing in a guy with a mind of his own. And that's what worries me here. Yes. It worries me that he's trying to still have a dominant control of this offense while still having all the responsibilities that he said were too much for him in 2021. Right. Now we still see these same tendencies from this
now,
team.
They are 10-2. This isn't 2021 when they were losing to the Raiders and everything was going sour. They're 10-2. They're the number one seed in the NFC. So something's working to a point. But we can't ignore the red flags offensively throughout the year. Here's my thing with Nick having his hand in the cookie jar this year and not last year, and where I would go to question it. The reason I say I don't want to jump to conclusions is because Nick could have had an influence all 3 years. He could have had an influence in the game plan last year.
Probably did, yeah.
And then Steichen was an excellent play caller, and they implemented their game plan to a T.
Yeah.
Now, maybe it's the same this year, except Brian Johnson is struggling as a play caller, like we all were assuming. 1,000%. My thing is this, though. When Nick was calling plays to start 2021, were the Eagles running the ball, or were they running the ball like 5 or 6 times a game?
Right.
And then what was the crowd starting to chant?
Run the football.
Run the ball. Run the ball. Then he hands it over to Shane Steichen. And if you remember, at the tail end of 2021, the Eagles were built upon the run. If you remember, in 2022, they led the NFL in rushing. Miles Sanders has a career year. Steichen's still play calling. Now Steichen gone. Rumors of Sirianni having influence in the offensive game plan.
Yeah.
We're back to pass happy. There's signs outside of the NovaCare complex as of 7 o'clock this morning saying run the football.
Yeah.
Very reminiscent. Now, again, winning cures a lot. Winning covers up a lot. I'm just saying, I don't like it, man. I do not like it.
Do you think that part of that report coming out and that information coming out is maybe just to take a little bit of the heat off of Brian Johnson?
Very well could. Very well could. Kind of Nick taking a bullet for his guy. I don't like just saying, here, put this out there to the world. I don't know. And like we said, he very well could have been involved last year and Steichen, and this year's not his influence being the problem. It's the play caller being the problem when we had an excellent play caller last year.
Yeah.
Or his role was very limited last year. His role picked back up this year, and it's why you're seeing some of the struggles that you saw back in 2022. The issue is the tendencies.
Yeah.
It's very similar to the first 7 weeks of 2021.
Because you know what I'm like just sitting here thinking, like, man, if we could ever just start a game trying to get our running back in rhythm, like trying
cool,
to get DeAndre Swift in rhythm, like just open the game first down with a
there
DeAndre Swift carry.
There it is, man. This is the comment.
Woo! Marshawn Lynch
screaming.
Hit the jackpot with this comment.
As I'm watching the game, man, I'm texting Scotty. I'm saying it aloud to whoever will listen. Everyone probably has earplugs in watching the game with me.
It ain't run the football. It's run the football at the right times.
That's the thing. And this is the Eagles' tendency. And I'm not joking you on the 2 red zone drives. Funny enough, because it's the only 2 times they got the ball down the field. So somehow something worked on 3rd down. But my point is, on the first 2 possessions, at least 4 or 5 times, those first 5 words there are how the Eagles started their drives. 1st and 10, incomplete pass. 2nd and 10, run the ball for no more than 2 yards. Sometimes it was no yard. Sometimes it was 1 yard. It is the most asinine set of play calls that anybody can run, high school, college, or pro. When I see other teams do it, I lose my mind. And when the Eagles do it, I want to rip my hair out. It is so damn stupid that you just continuously set yourselves in 3rd and long situations. Run the ball on 1st and 10.
Yeah.
If he doesn't pick anything up, if it's 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9, you got 2 opportunities to move the ball down the field. But when you already throw the ball incomplete on 1st down, the running back then has to at least pick up 5 yards for you to feel good about 3rd down. And that's still 3rd and medium on a good 2nd down run. It is so stupid to me, man. And the other part of it, the other thing of it, is the clock. And this is what people don't pick. You want to know how games get out of hand? You want to know how your defense gets worn out and finds themselves on the field every 2 minutes? 1st and 10 incompletion. How much time does that take off the game clock, Scotty? 4 seconds, maybe? 5 seconds?
Yeah.
2nd and 10 run. You run the play, couple seconds. You snap the ball under 40. Let's just say 40 to 45 seconds total you've taken off the clock now before when you snap the ball for 3rd down. If you don't pick up 3rd and long in that scenario, you maybe have the ball for 1 minute and 20 seconds before they get it back. That's if you complete 3rd down. If 3rd down's an incompletion, you have the ball for under 1 minute. If you don't pick up the 1st down, but it's complete, 1:20, 1:30, defense right back on the field.
Yeah.
And that's the game. That's the play calling that the Eagles put out there on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I think it's like they too often are just worried about getting Jalen Hurts in rhythm. And like, I don't know about you, but it feels like over the course of my life watching football, it feels like when you start the game with run, it makes your quarterback comfortable, right? If you can get the run game going, there's going to be games where your run game gets stonewalled. I know that. And it could have very well happened against San Fran. I'm not saying that can't happen. It's not that you run the football and everything opens up for the offense automatically. You have to do things. You have to disguise things. You have to be timely with your play calling as well. But I do think if you just open the game, right, maybe you do a run with DeAndre Swift 1st down of the game, right? First possession, 1st down of that possession. You run the ball with DeAndre Swift through the tackles, in between the tackles. Then on 2nd down, maybe to get Jalen Hurts in a rhythm, you want to do that. Maybe a short dump-off pass to DeAndre Swift. That way you're getting Jalen in a rhythm and DeAndre. I'm spitballing here. It doesn't have to go exactly like that. But just the idea of getting your running back comfortable in the game, not having, him have 1 carry and, oh, my God, he didn't pick up a 1st down on that carry. So now Gainwell gets the next carry. You can't have yourself looking over your shoulder like that the entire game either, man. It goes out. What I imagine it does to DeAndre Swift, it makes him think, God damn it, I'm back in Detroit. I better go make a fucking touchdown on this play right now, rather than just getting what I can.
How many times does DeAndre Swift have to impact the game in a big way, rip off a big run, pick up 1st downs late in the game to seal the clock, score a touch? How many big plays does he have to make for them to get it through their heads? At this point, man, what frustrates me, and again, 10-2. They scored 37 against Buffalo. It's hard to sit here after one bad game and truly dive in, but we can't act like these things haven't really been there the whole year. They've just been getting away with them for the most part. How many times going back earlier in the year does Nick Sirianni have to say, inexcusable that DeAndre Swift only touches the ball 2 times, but then you only give him the ball 6 times in the biggest matchup of the season?
It was the least amount of touches DeAndre Swift has received since the first week of the season against the Patriots when he got two
bullshit,
touches,
man. And this is the other part that frustrates me. It feels like they don't adjust to adjustments. There's no new wrinkles. So to Marshall Lynch's point here, I love the pole block QB draw from Kelsey and Ertz. Right? Like the Ertz game winner against Buffalo. That play. It's a great play. But the Niners were ready for it. And they blew it up in the red zone the first time we tried to run it. There's no wrinkle off of that play. There's no motion pre-snap to get their eyes moving somewhere, and then you run it to the opposite side on it. There's nothing different that they do with this play. They run it the same way every time.
You watch, and I think the big thing here as well, man, you're sitting there and you're across from San Fran and Kyle Shanahan's offense. So you're watching your offense, and then you watch San Fran's offense with their concepts and what they're doing for Brock Purdy to make the game easier on him. And it just makes you think, like, God damn, dude, like our offense is like light years away from San Francisco's offense.
Right.
And like the way, like, and I'm not saying the talent level. I'm saying the way the offense is ran. You listen to James Bradbury after the game. The motion, all of the motion that San Fran was doing pre-snap was confusing the Eagles.
Yep.
And
Scotty,
we just don't do it.
Offense.
How many times have we seen that successful play with AJ going in motion and it turns into a positive play?
Mm-hmm.
It's that simple. Like you get the defense really moving around, you get their eyes moving around. And that's when you start to get
about DeAndre Swift. Why can't you line up DeAndre Swift out wide, put him in motion, and then send him on a little crosser with that speed and athleticism? What I'll say is this, man. Our offense is light years behind our offense from last year.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's the problem I have. It's the same talent. It's another year together. But they're behind, man. That's the frustrating part. The last thing I'll say about the play calling and the signs, and they better figure it out and figure it out quick this week against Dallas. But the run the ball signs, listen, I get it. It's one of the most generic things we as fans can say to a coaching staff where it's a play call. Oh, run the ball. Well, what happens when they're taking away the runner, when it's not working too well and we're averaging under 3 yards per carry? My thing, I'm not just shouting from the rooftops to run the ball whenever. I'm speaking situationally. Like we talked about, not 2nd and 10 after a 1st and 10 incompletion. And by the way, if I can shout it out before you run it from home, because 4 times I had to do it in the first quarter. What do you think San Francisco knows? Yeah. And they sniffed it out every time. I'm talking run the ball on 1st and 10 to start a drive. I'm talking get DeAndre Swift involved, right? I'm talking when you get to the red zone, not going pass, not going quarterback draw, pass. Why? Why is DeAndre Swift allowed at times to carry us from, the 40 inside the 20 and then never get on the field inside the 15 again that drive? That's what I'm talking about.
How much?
Why is every run play we have out of the gun as an option? Why can't we line up behind our big, beefy offensive line and run the football? Turn, hand, go. Why can't Jalen ever line up under center, DeAndre Swift get a little running head start and run into a gap, run behind blockers? No, everything we run has to be an extension of the pass, right? We have to have the option there. Jalen's got to hold it for a second. No running head start for DeAndre Swift, and we got to No! It doesn't have to be that mind-consuming sometimes, man. When I say run the ball, those are the situations I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I do just wonder, man, like how much of it is like controlled by like the receivers and them wanting the ball. And like, I don't know, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm curious how it all goes down. Like,
I doubt any, but none of it should be controlled by that.
It shouldn't. No, it shouldn't. But then you see, like, A.J. Brown on that DeAndre Swift carry in the red zone, man. If he makes his block on the outside, he seals the edge. Boom. DeAndre Swift's in the end zone. And so, mind you, then from there, I'm on Twitter. I'm going down this rabbit hole, and I see people that watch the all 22 film, right? They get on it the day after, and they watch every single play. And they're telling me that A.J. Brown is, like, taking plays off when he's not getting targeted. And, it brings me to this point. I'm not going to sit here and crucify A.J. Brown. I don't know if that's true or not. He's the best receiver we've had since T.O.
By the way, this is what happens when an ass kicking occurs.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and pin him to the cross today. But when I'm looking at this team, man, I hope that this loss checked their egos. Like, leaving that field that night, I hope it checked their egos. Because, it takes me back to the James Bradbury thing before the game. And the lack of camaraderie, right? Like, and so now it's taking me back to our conversation earlier where it's like Zach Ertz or Ndamukong Suh. Well, Ndamukong Suh, because he will stick up for his fucking teammates. And, that's what I'm looking for.
That video pissed me off, man.
In game, man, somebody else go to the coaching staff and say, hey, why aren't we getting DeAndre Swift the ball? He's a really talented player. Like, just having your guys' backs and knowing what needs to happen within the game from the players' perspective, too. Like, it isn't all on the coaches. It's on the players, too, as well, man. And like you said, this is what happens when you have a loss like that, of that fashion. But, yeah, that pissed me off, and we should have known from the beginning of the game. That set the tone, man.
Right.
Not having your teammates back. Your teammate misses a tackle. There's nobody there to protect him from missing that tackle, right? And mind you, once again, hold yourself accountable. You need to make the goddamn tackle. But when San Fran, if they miss a tackle, there's a guy coming right behind them to lay that wood for that guy to miss that tackle and make you feel it. So
I agree, man.
That lack of camaraderie,
man. I didn't see the video till after the game. I don't know if it was even released until after the game. I don't know the timing of it, but that pissed me off, man, because it ain't like the Eagles weren't aware. It ain't like Darius Slay and Bradley Roby had their backs turned or were 20 yards down the sideline. They were 10 feet away staring at it. Right. And it was clear as day. It was intentional. Wild. It was on purpose that they ran by Bradbury that way. They ran on both sides of him. Someone bumped them in the back a little bit, gave him a little.
And then it takes me back to A.J. Brown's comments on Debo's comments. Like, no, I don't care if you're friends with Debo. Your teammate, James Bradbury, does not care if you're friends with Debo.
Yep, I agree.
Like, it does not matter in this situation. Debo is talking shit on your teammate.
Yeah.
It's not cool.
3 times. Like, 3 times. He called him trash 3 times. He was asked in the third interview, basically, if he would like to rescind it or if he was just joking. And he said, no. So, listen, I know they're boys. That's fine.
And it is what it is. Once again, not pinning AJ to the cross. This is a team conversation.
Seriously, man. Like, it's one thing if your boy is messing around and calls you trash. Oh, he's trash. Well, okay. You go a little back and forth.
Yeah.
Your boy called your teammate trash, and your teammate doesn't know him. And he did it publicly multiple times. So to come out and basically say, that's just how he talks, he's joking. No. He could talk like that with you. His friend, his boy.
Yeah, that's the difference.
He doesn't get to talk about that about a grown man that he has no prior communication with, no history, no friendship, no nothing. Yeah, man. They need to get tougher because that's the one thing we thought we had, right? When we played Miami, when we beat Kansas City, we thought we had we thought we could have the advantage in the trenches and we were the more physical team and so on and so forth. You're not more physical than that particular team right now.
No,
and you better be more physical than the team you go on the road and play this Sunday. I promise you that. So we're going to talk about that game a lot on Friday morning, man. We're going to be breaking down everything the Eagles need to do, need to fix. This is the internal struggle as a fan and as coming on here in the mornings, right? It's because everything was good a week ago. And we should know more so than anybody else that one loss does not define a team or a season. And they went from the 1 seed in the NFC to the 1 seed in the NFC. They're still fine. They control their own destiny. They're still a great team. But that's what that kind of loss to that kind of team brings. Because, again, to wrap up the Eagles talk and get to the Sixers for the last 10 or 15 minutes here, it's not like this just came out of the blue.
Yeah.
They were getting by. And to say getting by is pretty crazy with the 4 prior teams they had beaten. It wasn't like they were beating up on the Giants and the Commanders playing that way. They were getting by against great Super Bowl aspiration teams that way. But you can only get down by double digits in the first half so often. You can only, be pass happy and turn the ball over and have stupid penalties in critical moments and have red zone issues and have secondary issues so often before it comes back to bite you in the ass.
Yeah.
So these red flags have been scattered throughout the season, and they survived them until now. So I'm not here to put any, declarations on the Eagles to say this is who they are. I'm here to say you got checked, and now you need to figure it out against the Cowboys this weekend.
Yeah.
Because if those same issues occur this weekend, and you lose by double digits this weekend, now I really have to take a step back, even at 10-3, and say, whoa.
Yeah.
Are these problems fixable?
Right.
To try to win it. Not fixable to make the playoffs, fixable to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Fixable to beat San Francisco in the postseason. That's what we're going to have to find out this weekend. And we're going to talk about it more on Friday morning right here on the
You got some sturdy reinforcements coming, though. I will give them that benefit of the doubt. Dallas Goedert returning this weekend against Dallas. That's going to be huge, right? Like, just like I said earlier, there's several times I've seen several videos on Twitter where Ertz just refused to the ball to Jack Stoll. That removes Jack Stoll from that position, right? That's Dallas Goedert now. And the numbers of Jalen Hurts' completion percentage are actually crazy between losing Goddard and having him the last 3 weeks. So should be good to get him back. Hopefully get Zach Cunningham back this week or soon. And then obviously adding Shaq Leonard to the equation should help. Don't know if he gets on the field against Dallas, but I would try my hardest to get him on the field. So
yeah, you got to, I'd be hammering out that playbook with him, film session, long hours, listen, bud, I need you out there for at least critical moments or something.
He's going to have to play. Yeah,
I agree. I agree, man. Some Sixers talk before we wrap up here because they are finally back in action as the in-season tournament. Yeah. In-season tournament teams are heading to Vegas now, figured that part out, so that everyone else can kind of get back to their regularly scheduled activities as we head to Washington. Good news. Obviously, we missed Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey due to illness against the Celtics. They're back tonight. I haven't looked about Batum. I'm assuming he's fine. He's good to go. And Kelly Oubre Jr. looks to make his Sixers return tonight down in Washington. And it's bittersweet for me because obviously getting all of these reinforcements back, you would like for the game to feel like it had a little bit more meaning, a little bit more test to it. You get the Wizards, which I guess is a good thing on the other hand on the other seat because,
let them get reacquainted.
Hopefully it's a tune-up game, right? Get
exactly.
Kelly, his legs back under him against the Wizards, etc. Joel, his legs back under him. So for all of that, but how are you feeling, man, as they return to action tonight, fully healthy? And I think this is what we've been waiting for because when the Oubre incident occurred, the Sixers were flying high, man. And Batum finally came to play, and then he missed a little bit more time. And you're like, all right, I want this team full strength. I think we're going to get that for an extended period of time coming up now, barring anything else crazy that happens or any injuries. How are you feeling?
I think it's a great time for everybody to return. I do agree with you. I wish it was like against any other team than the fucking Wizards.
Literally almost any except any other team for the Spurs. Yeah, I'd rather watch.
Yeah, like give me some other level of competition. But to be fair, for the actual players, it is going to be good for them to get reacquainted, right? Tyrese Maxey out the last game, Embiid out the last game, Kelly Oubre out for however long he's been. I believe Batum was out the last game as well. So just getting all of those
other guys too. Back. Springer, House, they were both out. I don't know if they're back.
Yeah. So Springer and House should be back as well. So just like figuring out your rotation, right? Getting guys comfortable. You should be able to try different things in a game like this. And just holistically speaking, this month in general is a month for the Sixers to kind of take control and really put them in a good spot heading towards the postseason. Now, obviously, it's December. You'll be in January next month. It's not even halfway, I guess you could say, or it would probably be about halfway at that point. But this month, specifically, what I'm talking about is just the opponents in the month, right? You look across the month, you got the Heat, you got the Magic, who are like this 2 seed in the East right now, surprisingly.
Yeah.
And you have the Timberwolves this month. Every other team aside from those 3 teams that I just mentioned, all have a below 500 record. So this is your opportunity that if you want to chase that 2 seed, you want to chase that 1 seed in the Eastern Conference from Milwaukee, from Boston, you got to take advantage of this month. And I'm glad that they're going to be fully healthy to do so. And I'm more or less just generally excited to see Kelly Oubre with Batum, Rocco, and Marcus Morris, and the additions from the Clippers, because I can't remember specifically if they played together at all.
All of them?
I think Batum was out, and then Oubre had his accident, right? Because Batum got traded.
Batum and Oubre played in maybe one game. Batum was coming off the bench at that point.
And Oubre was starting.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. And then when Oubre went out, Batum gets moved.
Marcus Morris was not in the rotation at all. Springer wasn't playing at all back at that point. Right. So there are a few new faces as well that could still, be getting playing time too.
So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. Even if it's just 1-2 games, I still want to see
what would you do?
How that looks.
What would you do? Now, obviously, Now, let's just say, forget, getting implemented. Forget, maybe Kelly comes off the bench tonight just to get his legs under him. I'm saying fully healthy a week, 2 weeks from now. What would you do in terms of Batum and Oubre and starting in the bench?
Yeah, so 2 weeks from now, I think eventually the route that the Sixers will go is having Batum start and Oubre come off the bench.
I agree. I think it's the best course of that. Yeah.
I think, Oubre presents that scoring punch. He can handle the ball a lot better than what Batum can. He can play make for himself a lot better. Whereas Batum, I think, can be more of that just glue guy to the starting unit, right?
He's the
do all the little things.
He's the perfect fit, bro.
Perfect fit for that start in 5, man. Put him in there, and you got a bunch of, well, not a bunch, but you have 3 guys that can go out there, get their own shot for the most part. And then you have him who can man those corners. You have D-Melt that plays really good defense, can hit threes. So it really, really balances that starting unit out well. And then in return, you have Kelly Oubre. He balances out that bench unit heavily.
Which is something
for a ball handler, right, to come off the bench.
Now, granted, the Sixers have a couple of losses. They've lost 3 of their last 5. But that's not only missing Oubre and some other guys, that's missing Embiid for 2. It's missing Maxey. So you have to take all that with a grain of salt. I'm going back to, a week or 2 ago, even when things were going well and we're winning games.
Yeah.
It was evident you're still lacking the scoring punch off the bench. I know Pat Bev just had a career night in Boston in a starting role, and Paul Reed was great in a starting role. Those guys are not giving you that in their bench minutes, right? Marcus Morris is not giving you a sign in his bench minutes, right?
Make sure that is never something that is needed again.
Correct. But they weren't getting – you were missing that shooting ability and that – ISO score off the bench when Kelly was out. And I do agree with you. I know there probably are going to be some people, because he did fit well in the starting lineup as well before he got hurt, where they think he should start in Batum. No, but Batum defensively, shooting wise, doesn't need the ball in his hands. He should start, because when you have Embiid, Maxey, Tobias, there's a limited number of shots Kelly Oubre Jr. is going to get between the 4 of them. You bring him in off the bench. Now he's maybe only playing with him and Embiid on the floor, or he's playing with him and Maxey on the floor. And he's going to have those opportunities to get downhill in ISO, to catch and shoot off the wing, to handle the ball like you were talking about. So I do think that is all very, very key, man.
Let me ask you this. who are you cutting out of the rotation at this point? And how many guys do you think you would limit it to?
Right. I think this is an interesting part to wrap up the show before Friday, man, because I know we're on a little bit of a time limit here for you.
That's a great call, Brett. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So you have your starting five. Let's just run through this real quick. You have Maxey and D-Melt in your backcourt. That's 2. You have Tobias and Batum. That's 4. You have Joel. That's 5. Okay.
Yeah.
You have Paul Reed coming off the bench. That's 6.
Yeah.
You have Pat Bev coming off the bench. That's 7. You have Kelly Oubre Jr. coming off the bench. That's 8.
Rocco.
Now, okay, Rocco, right? He's still going to have minutes. That's 9. Now you're already pretty deep. You still have Jaden Springer, Marcus Morris. Those would be the only 2 in contention for me.
Only other 2.
Yeah, Daniel House phased out. Obviously, no Furkan. Mo Bamba's not going to play.
So Mo Bamba is who I was going to ask you about. He looked okay against Boston, man, on Friday. It was interesting. There's just no room for him with Paul Reed healthy, with Embiid.
I'm interested. I'm interested to see why Brett has it in all caps, because I think since we were kind of hating on him a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, Marcus Morris has gotten a little bit, I don't know, more improved in his role, scoring, shooting wise. But I will say, when you talk about not enough space for him, I feel like the power forward in Marcus Morris is why he'll be phased out.
Yeah,
you have Embiid, Paul Reed, Tobias, and Kelly and Batum both bring length and size that maybe they're 3s, but they can also be 4s, right? So,
and you have to ask yourself, like, at the end of the day, with Marcus Morris, it's like, what we're gonna ask him to do is shoot 3s, right? Sit in the corner and shoot 3s. Rocco can do that probably at a better rate.
Absolutely.
Batum obviously does it better, and so for that point, I think that's why he's.
And I think you're still going. Springer brings a guard aspect that you have less numbers at in that position.
Yeah.
He brings more, obviously, athleticism and defense, and just a guy that can fit a little bit better when you're talking, surrounding Embiid. Maybe he doesn't shoot the 3 ball better than Marcus Morris, but he's more athletic. He can cut more.
Do you think Tobias? Do you think that it is time for him to go? Like, do you feel that?
I'll tell you this: Tobias Harris has a ticking clock right now of about 2 months.
Yeah,
Tobias. It is time for Tobias Harris to shit or get off the pot, essentially, because I can't take the waves, man. I can't take the back and forth, the inconsistency. You start out the year averaging 20, 19, 21, whatever it was, between 19 and 21, 60% shooting, right?
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And now you had us sitting here saying, I'm not trading Tobias. You have to keep Tobias here. And then you watch him when the moments get a little bigger, when the competition gets a little stiffer, when he needs to rise to the occasion with no Embiid and no Maxey. That was the problem. And we didn't really talk about that Friday night game at all, man.
Yeah.
Everybody else stepped up. Everybody else stepped up to put you in an opportunity to upset that team on the road. And the number 1 starter from guys that were missing did not show up. In fact, he shit the bed.
Yeah.
In fact, he turned the ball over in the 4th quarter. I mean, my God, Scotty, with 4 seconds left, he even missed 2 free throws to end the game when it didn't matter. My goodness. And it has to be up here for him, right?
Got blocked at the rim twice, right? By Al Horford.
I mean, this is it. And a few weeks ago, Brett was screaming no for Levine. I believe it was Brett screaming no for Levine. I could be wrong. Yeah, Martian Lynch too, man. I don't hate Levine. I don't hate Levine at all. I think we talked you know what it is, to wrap up here? My bad, dude, that we're going over the time. But
no, you're good.
What I think it is we fell so in love with this team early on and how great Tobias was playing that we talked ourselves completely out of Zach LaVine. And while he still has, the contract issues for, a guy that doesn't play defense, he's whatever. The bottom line is, you trade for Zach LaVine. He's a guy that can average 25 points per game. He can shoot the 3. He's athletic as all hell. He can dunk and put his nuts in your face. Like, he's going to do so much.
It's just like what we were talking about with Shaq Leonard. And, okay, maybe he looked washed for Indianapolis. Maybe he comes into the Philadelphia Eagles, has that talent around him, and starts to look really good. Maybe Zach LaVine comes in, has a better fitting roster around him. Has guys
maybe he's a better defender with the big fella behind him.
Exactly. He's an athletic, long guy. Like when you have those assets, you can learn and put effort in to play better defense. And I think when you have Embiid behind you as the anchor of a defense, that makes it easier on you. I think when you have smart defenders like Batum, Rocco, I think that helps you. DeAnthony Melton, that helps you. So there's a lot of different things that
I agree, man. And this is to wrap up. I think this is kind of where everyone's headspace was at and, is looking forward to over the next 2 months. The only problem with LaVine before was when Tobias was good, he wasn't needed. But now that Tobias is looking like, I don't even want to call it an issue because he's not like such like a net negative that we hate him so much. He just doesn't show up when needed, when called upon.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, man. So, yeah.
Even if if Levine might come to this team and give you like similar numbers to Tobias averages, right? But it's about the big moments.
If there's one thing I know about the NBA, is that defense is just pure effort.
It is,
man. It's pure 1-2.
He's not built like Harden. Effort. Like his feet aren't slow. Like
he's athletic and quick as shit.
Like it's effort.
And I don't know if that effort changes because he comes here, but I'll tell you what, winning can change effort. Winning can change mindsets. Winning can change heart.
Instincts. I mean,
so maybe that losing culture in Chicago has Zach LaVine checked out on the defensive end and saying, fuck that. I'm just going to go score and showcase myself.
They suck, and like I said, like at the end of the day, having a guy like Embiid behind you defensively can make you a lot better defender. Anyways,
it can
make James Harden a decent defender at times.
It might not make you a good defender, but it might make you look like a lot better defender.
Yeah, he can protect your back. That's the thing. Like you don't start Tyrese Maxey and James Harden, and then all of a sudden you can't start Zach LaVine.
Right.
No, I think he could be a better defender than Harden. So
I agree. And if you make that move,
it's not hard to be a better defender.
No, we'll see. We'll see when we get there. Daryl Morey, he's got his work cut out for him, man. And I don't want to ask you another question, but the question that's circling in my mind now is like, is it almost better for us if Tobias just stays this way by trade deadline time?
Yeah, probably.
Because if he has another 3-week surge in January of him averaging 22 on 58% shooting, we're going to be back to, if you get this Tobias in the playoffs, it worked. I'd rather him just average 13 on whatever and, look small against Milwaukee and Boston, and then we figure it out in February. But maybe that's not even in Morey's plans. We never know.
And I would argue, LaVine isn't the only option as well. Like there are other options out there that maybe you trade Tobias somehow for like a Malcolm Brogdon. His contract expires at the end of the season. Then you don't have like that max contract on your books still, right? Maybe you just find a better fitting player. But the problem with trading for OG, it's that. And then it's also the fact that Masai Ujiri just isn't going to get like swindled on a deal. Like you're gonna give up more than what you want to get a player from the Raptors, in my opinion. So
correct.
I honestly I wouldn't plan on doing any business with the Toronto Raptors in reality.
No, I agree.
I think they're just out to get people, honestly. And rightfully so. You should be, but we don't need to deal with that. We need to deal with teams that are rebuilding and in like the very early development stage. And I think the Bulls are one of those teams that they need to face reality and get to that stage. But yeah, we there's other options. I mean, I've even, I looked at Malik Monk out in Sacramento. He balls out, 6-man type of guy, ball handler. Maybe get him for less than like a Tobias. So there's options out there, but I don't know. I think I'm off the Tobias wagon. And I respect him, I respect his personality. I respect, him as a person. I respect that he does have talent, but in the big moment, he just shrinks like no one else, man.
I mean, Scotty, that performance on Friday night,
aspirations.
We didn't even talk about it on Monday because we were so wrapped up in Eagles 49ers talk, but that performance is so inexcusable, man. It really is.
It really is.
Like when you watch everybody else knock down shots, make plays on defense, finish at the rim, knock down threes, and he's just blocked, turnover, stupid foul. My God, man.
Yeah.
God.
The last thing I'll say about him, like, how in a game like that don't you come in, trying to get your teammates involved and the offense, you should be able to trust Tobias in a situation like that without Maxey, without Embiid. You should trust him to be able to handle the ball and be a playmaker for others. And you're just not getting that, man. You're not even getting the lethal scorer, the lethal shooter, right? And that's when you got to really evaluate.
No Maxey, no Kelly, no Nico. Tobias Harris was the highest paid player on the floor for the Sixers, and he was supposed to be the best player on the floor for the Sixers. And the sad truth on Friday night is I don't even know if he was in the top 4 or 5 Sixers on Friday night. D'Anthony Melton was better. Pat Bev was better. Robert Covington was better.
Yeah.
Paul Reed was better. Mo Bamba's knocking down threes in the second half to keep the team afloat. Like everybody else made plays, hit shots. And he just didn't, man. And the funny thing is, I'm pretty sure he scored 6 or 8 of the Sixers' first couple points in the first quarter and then just completely disappeared from that point on. So that's where we're back at with Tobias Harris. But fortunately for us, the reinforcements are back. They're healthy, and we get a little, hopefully, a tune-up.
Last question, seriously. Do you think that Nick Nurse would be willing to, if he sees Tobias playing the way he was playing against Boston, to sit him out in the fourth quarter and just roll with Oubre?
Yeah. No, I mean, from what I've seen from Nick Nurse this year, I've definitely seen him comfortable enough with it for role player. Like I've seen Nico Batum close games. I've seen Patrick Beverley close games. I've seen Kelly Oubre close games over D'Anthony Melton, over, Kelly Oubre when Batum had to close. I've seen it, but it makes you wonder when it comes to contract. Like that guy he's going to play, right? But to your point, if it's fourth quarter against Milwaukee or the Heat this month or the Timberwolves this month, and it's a 4-3, 5-point game, whatever it is, and he's struggling, but Oubre and Batum are knocked down, I'm sorry, bro. Those two better be the two out there in that fourth quarter, or Nick Nurse is going to hear it from Sixers fans in that moment.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Point. We'll see where we wind up, man. But
let's go get this.
That is going to wrap up this Wednesday edition of the Phaithful Phanatics Show. Guys, if you are new to the channel, if you like the content, if you want to be interactive, make sure to support, as always, by smashing that subscribe button on the DSM Philadelphia YouTube channel. It's the best spot to get your thoughts, comments, and questions pulled up here with myself and Scotty and join the conversation on each and every one of our shows. We'll be back on the Turf Talk channel tomorrow night, breaking down all of Week 13 NFL action for you guys, giving you guys our updated power rankings. Also here Friday morning on the Phaithful Fanatic Show, it's Dallas week again. Eagles, Cowboys, NFC East, division lead matchup coming up. The now biggest game of the season for the Eagles will also be live for DSM pregame live this Sunday night as the Eagles take on the Cowboys. As always, go Sixers, go Birds, go Phils, go everybody, and have a great rest of your Wednesday.
Let's get it.